But I'm hopping on here live today to talk about kicking those cravings by managing your blood sugar. I'm going to start by asking a question. How many of you out there experience mid-morning cravings for something sweet and a cup of coffee, or experience those cravings mid-afternoon? Or you have your lunch and then feel absolutely shattered and could do with a sleep. And you get through the day and it gets to about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the evening, and you are really, really tired. All those are signs that your blood sugar is going up and down. You eat something, it goes up, you feel great. An hour or so later, it's dropped and you're really hungry, really hangry. You feel like you could kill somebody. You need to eat something quickly, eat it now. Goes back up again. You eat a substantial lunch, then you feel really, really tired. You start waking up again and just feel really tired. That's the classic pattern of erratic blood sugar. And that essentially is down to what we eat. Those quick fix, easy to grab things that make no mess, you can eat with one hand, you don't need a knife and fork, you can eat it while you're on the run, tend to be really starchy and made from what we call simple carbohydrates. And simple carbohydrates are basically things that break down really, really quickly into glucose in the body. So the body then has to process all that glucose really, really quickly. And it does that quite efficiently. But when it's mopped it all up, the body being primed for lots of glucose then goes, oh, I'm hungry, feed me now, please. And so the cycle continues. So to kick those mid-morning cravings, mid-afternoon cravings, and those tired feelings throughout the day, we need to look at how we can do things differently to avoid that glucose overload in the system that is what creates the I feel great, I can take on the world high, followed by the I'm going to kill somebody now crash. And the starting point is looking at how the body works and looking at how the day in an ideal world works around, or how we function throughout the day. So when we eat something that the body can break down really easily, and those things tend to be the simple carbohydrates, it triggers a very fast response in the body. So to take a step back, a simple carbohydrate is a carbohydrate that the body breaks down really quickly. There are three categories of carbohydrates. So the simple ones, which are, I call the beige white carbs. It tends to be anything based on white flour, so regular pasta, bread, cakes, biscuits, white potatoes, white rice, pretty much anything which, if you chew it for long enough, you will experience a sweet taste in your mouth. And that's because even digestive enzymes called amylases, which are produced in saliva, can start breaking down these simple chains of sugars into their basic components, which is glucose and fructose, before it even hits your stomach. That's how easy it is for the body to break down and access these sugars. Now, those are great if you need energy instantly. So for my athletes, I actually suggest that they eat something really easy to digest about an hour or so before training. That way they get the sugar rush just as they need it, because their body is going to be making huge demands for energy during a training session. For us ladies of a certain age, unless we're doing that kind of training or going for a run or hitting the gym, we don't need that level of energy. So it's often a case of approaching what we eat differently. The older we get, the more we find that things that we could do absolutely no problem in our 20s and 30s don't work anymore. My starting point is always to look at breakfast. And breakfast is very underrated, and certainly in Western culture, where everybody's rushing out of the house to get to school, to get to work in the morning, tends to be, for many people, a grab and go affair. And grab and go means the easy to do, easy to eat on the run stuff, like toast, often with jam or honey on it, a bowl of cereal, no breakfast at all and a coffee at the station, not great. Or what might look like a relatively healthy option, but actually has the same effect on spiking your blood sugar. And for many people, that actually includes oats and porridge. It's a really interesting pattern that's been observed by the large-scale Zoe project in the UK, where a huge amount of people used a continuous glucose monitor for a couple of weeks and discovered that oats actually, although they've got lots of healthy things in them, do actually cause a blood sugar spike. I used a blood sugar monitor myself out of curiosity about a year ago, and it raised some really interesting things. One of those things being that oats spike my blood sugar, which I kind of thought might be the case, because if I have porridge for breakfast, I'm hungry at about 11 o'clock. But it was really interesting to have the confirmation of that, but I digress. So looking at breakfast, one of the easiest ways to avoid the mid-morning hungry, angry, irritable crisis is to ensure that A, you treat breakfast as a proper meal, and B, to make sure you get a good chunk of protein in it and some healthy fats. The reason for making breakfast into a proper meal is that your body carries out all its rest and repair and maintenance functions as you sleep overnight. And to do that, it uses up the nutrients that it has available. And that actually does take quite a lot of energy. And that process can often be linked in perimenopausal women to night sweats at 2 or 3 in the morning. Again, that's a topic for a separate talk. But come breakfast time, you've just woken up, it's the ideal time to refuel your body. If you don't, it's like trying to drive to work with an empty petrol tank in the car. If you don't fill it up, you're going to run out of fuel on the way. And if you put the wrong fuel in the car, if you put diesel instead of petrol, then you're going to have that kind of breakdown not very far along the road. So looking after your body in the same way that you look after your car, then fuel it, give it what it needs at the right time of day. For me, a healthy breakfast looks like a plate that's got a good chunk of protein on it. That might be eggs, it could be some chicken, it could be some fish, it could be tofu, it could be dairy produce for people who eat dairy, cheese eaten at the right time and in a certain moderation is not a bad thing, much as we've been led to believe otherwise. It needs ideally some whole grains or vegetables for the fibre, which is another type of carbohydrate, but one which your body can't break down. So it's not absorbed, it doesn't contribute to glucose spikes. And some healthy fats. If you're eating eggs, you've got the healthy fats in the eggs. If you're cooking, say, an omelette, use olive oil or avocado oil for the cooking. Toast, use real butter. Please don't use margarine. Real butter. In moderation, it's absolutely fine. Cholesterol is not the food of the devil. In actual fact, lack of cholesterol could possibly be contributing to a whole raft of problems that the Western world is experiencing these days, including massive rises in levels of dementia. The brain is 95%. 95%. It's a significant part of the brain is actually made up of fat. Again, that's a talk for another day. So getting those kind of nutrients in at breakfast time, if you're eating proper foods, you're also getting a good dose of vitamins and minerals in those foods. The proteins, the fats and the fibre slow down the digestion of the simple carbohydrates that break down quickly. So yes, you're getting energy, but because it's taking your body, your stomach, a lot longer to process all the food that or the different varieties of food that you've just eaten. I'm not advising you to eat excessively. It slows down the digestion, which means that your body gets a more sustained drip feeding, if you like, of the energy and the nutrients that it needs, and that will keep you going for a lot longer. And if you change your ways of eating, certainly with breakfast, you will begin to notice that you are not getting those massive "I need food now" feelings mid-morning. Again, lunchtime is more of the same. It doesn't have to be a heavy meal, but it needs protein, it needs some fibre, vegetables or whole grains. So a slice of whole grain sourdough bread is a much better prospect for your digestion than a packet of, or a slice of white from a packet, which is basically just sugar in a solid form. Another surprising area where you can get a massive sugar boost and not necessarily realise what's happening is that mid-morning cappuccino or latte, especially if you have milk in it, even skimmed milk. Because milk contains its own form of sugar called lactose. What many people don't realise is that even a small size, what they call a small latte from any of the chain coffee shops, contains the equivalent of about 9 teaspoons of sugar. And I'm willing to bet that most of you wouldn't actually put that amount of sugar in your coffee if you're making it at home. By all means, have the coffee, certainly in the morning. Consider switching the cappuccino or the latte for an Americano with a small slug of milk in it. It might take a couple of weeks to get used to the difference in taste, but you will quickly notice that you don't get the "wee, I feel great" followed by the "ah, I feel awful" from the impact that just drinking that amount of milk in one go can have on your blood sugar. By sticking to a balanced plate of meals at 3 meals a day, you should be able to experience in quite a short space of time a difference in how you feel during the day between those meals. In the evening, again, go for the same principle. You need protein, you need some fibrous elements. I go for plenty of vegetables, and yes, most people, or certainly younger people, can have a good dose of carbohydrates in the evening. It's not going to hurt them. Certainly the kids who are at school all day using a vast amount of energy, because the brain is the biggest consumer of energy in the body, probably need to have a good chunk of carbs in the evening. For us older ladies in particular, we don't need the carbs in the evening unless you're going to go to a dance class or something after supper, in which case you might need the energy. If you're winding down for the evening, you don't need the energy, so don't need the carbs in the evening. Simple as that. So that's quite a simple switch to make, but psychologically can be quite a tricky one to make, because so many of the meals that we automatically make on autopilot are based around carbs. So there's a little bit of a mind reset that needs to go on in there to do things differently. Hi, Savan. Hi, Roger. Thanks for joining me. So it takes a little bit of rethinking to do things maybe differently from the way we've always done them. But small changes can have quite a significant difference. So I'm going to leave it there for the moment. I will be putting a link to a visual image of a balanced plate in the comments afterwards. I hope I can work out how to do this. This is entirely new for me. I was trying to share my screen to show some diagrams, but I couldn't quite work out how to do it. So that will be for next time. And if you have any questions on this, then please do ask me. It's a topic I will probably come back to again and again and again, because it is really so fundamentally important in not only feeling fully energized or having a consistent level of energy throughout the day in the short term, but for avoiding metabolic issues such as a tendency towards pre-diabetes or type 2 diabetes in the longer term, by understanding how the body works and feeding it accordingly. So thank you for everybody who's joined me live. And like I say, if you have any questions, then please do ask me, and look out for the diagrams I'm going to put in the comments. Thank you very much. Bye.